I've seen that thing and hate it. Like it could sample fear right out of the air.
Hey, welcome back to the BEATNGU channel. If you're new here, we're glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about the origins of this truck, both in real life and fictionally. We're going to talk about where this truck was built and what it did in its early life, how it worked, how it served, and where it ended up. We're also going to talk about this truck fictionally in the world of Jeepers Creepers, how it started life. I'm going to show you a picture of what this truck looked like new. And we're going to do a timeline so that you guys can see the truck age slowly over time.
America, land of opportunity, land of progress, land of industrial leadership.
This truck left the assembly line in 1941. It was built in Atlanta, Georgia. And the way these trucks would come is they would be built with just a cab and a frame. And the new owner would put whatever they wanted on the back on this frame that would assist them for their work. So a lot of these trucks came as flatbeds, box trucks, some came as tankers for maybe fuel. This particular truck left the factory as just a cab and chassis, and whoever bought it was in the hay business. We can tell that because of these little brackets that are on the frame. And they're kind of hard to see, and I know this picture isn't that great, but you can see these two little brackets on the driver's side of the frame. What this truck would do is it would actually couple with a hay baler, and the two would travel together through a field, and the hay baler would bale the hay and then have a little conveyor belt that would bring the hay up to the level of the back of the truck, and people would be up there stacking it as they went through the field. And that is how this truck originally served most of its working life. Now, this truck was originally made in Atlanta, Georgia, and of all the states that produce hay, Kentucky is the closest. And so I think that probably this truck worked in Kentucky. Now, it's interesting that this truck wasn't purchased out of Indiana. That would have been closer to Kentucky. But I'm just wondering if back then it's the same as now. Maybe there wasn't a huge supply of these trucks, or maybe they were on back order, or who knows what. And so the farmer who was looking for his new hay truck had to travel to Georgia to actually pick up his truck to be able to work in his home state of Kentucky. It wouldn't be uncommon for a new truck like this back in the 40s to be used for maybe as little as 5 years and maybe as much as 20. And so somewhere before, in or around, let's say 1960, this truck probably went to a new owner. And we don't know how it was used. It would have been a flatbed and they could have used it in any way they wanted to. Now, there's a large gap in our knowledge about this truck after the first owner, but we do know it went to a man by the name of Ralph Cordero because his name is on the door. We don't know what his business was or what part of the country he worked in, but we do know that his business needed a flatbed truck. It could be that it was somewhere in the area of Ocala, Florida, because this truck ended up in a wrecking yard there, and that is where the director of photography and the director of Jeepers Creepers found it. That is the day that everything changed for this truck. truck was purchased by the Jeepers Creepers company and went to a warehouse where it underwent a complete transformation. The company built a box and they custom fabricated a rear bumper and a front bumper, and this truck became one of only 3 in existence. It has become an icon and a favorite of all those who love the Jeepers Creepers movies. Now, let's talk about the fictional version of this truck. Now, in the fictional world, how did this truck leave the factory? Well, it would have left the same way as all the other trucks do, as a cab and chassis, but it would have been shipped directly to a coach builder. A coach builder is a company that builds custom bodies on the back of vehicles. So you might think of a fire truck or an ambulance or a hearse. Those vehicles are created by coach builders. So this truck, in the fiction of Jeepers Creepers, when it was new, would have been shipped to a coach company where they would have custom fabricated the box on the back of this truck, built this beautiful belt line that goes down it, and made it look like it was actually part of the truck. Now, in a fictional world, how was this truck used? It would have been used in any way where they needed to transport things with an enclosed environment. It has been suggested that maybe this truck was used as a telephone truck, but I think it's missing too many compartments on the sides to be a telephone truck. I would think that maybe it would have been more likely to be a UPS truck or a mail truck or something like that. Now, in a fictional world, it's fun to think that this truck might have always lived a tainted life, and whatever service it provided was always disgusting in some way. So maybe it was that it was used in the medical field. Or maybe it was a hearse, but not one where a single body would be displayed and carried with honor, but more like where mass bodies would need to be carried off of a battlefield or out of a tragic situation somewhere. So it's a little more entertaining to think that maybe this truck has always lived the kind of life that it lives with the Creeper. Now, once the Creeper had this truck, he built the bumper on the back, he built the bumper on the front, he outfitted it with booby traps, and he made it the perfect body snatching vehicle. This truck became his sidekick, and they travel around together, and he's cloaked in this horrifying vehicle while he also hides from those who would seek to destroy him. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please consider liking and subscribing if you don't want to miss any information about this truck. I can't wait to bring you more content, but until then, we'll see ya.